Do you hear it? A whisper rising from the ocean's depths where light can never reach. It's not the sound of waves, not the wind, but the breath of a creature that once ruled this place in darkness. Around 252 million years ago, Earth descended into true hell. Volcanoes erupted, poison filled the skies and seas. 90% of all marine life vanished. The ocean became a colossal graveyard, silent, motionless, hopeless. But then, from that silence, he rose. Not to survive, but to hunt. A being without mercy, a finely crafted machine of flesh and death. His name was Thalattoarchon, the Lord of the Sea. And in that blood-soaked era, he was the last nightmare left alive. After millions of years of silence following the apocalypse, the ocean slowly began to heal. But life did not return as something gentle or fragile. It came back as a nightmare. Thalattoarchon saurophagus emerged like a cold-blooded flood, a massive marine reptile, the vanguard of a new generation of sea monsters in the Triassic Age. This creature stretched nearly 9 meters long, with a body shaped like a dolphin, but it hunted like a beast. Its enormous head made up nearly a third of its entire length, with piercing eyes and a mouth lined with lethal teeth. Unlike earlier ichthyosaurs that fed on small fish or squid, Thalattoarchon targeted large prey, even other marine reptiles. It didn't chase, it stalked. It hid, it waited. Concealed in murky waters, it moved without a sound, just a shadow drifting beneath the surface. And when it struck, it launched forward like a spear. There was no need for a second bite. One single snap was enough to bring its prey to ruin. In an ocean still struggling to rebuild, where food chains were unstable and life uncertain, Thalattoarchon was no longer just a link in the chain. It stood at the top of the pyramid, the first true apex predator of a reborn and bloody sea. Thalattoarchon wasn't just a large creature, it was a masterpiece of predatory design, a blueprint built for killing. What made it different from other ichthyosaurs wasn't just its size, it was how it killed. First, the colossal skull. Making up nearly 1/3 of its entire body length, Thalattoarchon's head resembled an open sarcophagus, wide, heavy, and ready to consume anything it seized. But it wasn't made just for swallowing, it was made to tear. Unlike most marine predators of its time, which had cone-shaped piercing teeth, Thalattoarchon's teeth had blade-like edges on both sides. They didn't stab, they sliced. Every bite was a cut, every head shake a deep laceration straight to the bone. Next, its killing strategy and bite force. Thalattoarchon didn't need to chase prey over long distances. It would lurk silently, waiting near schools of smaller marine reptiles like Mosasaurus, watching, choosing the slowest, the weakest. Then it struck. One bite to the throat or midsection, and the water bloomed red. It didn't rush to eat. It let the carcass float, then used its knife-like teeth to peel back flesh, often consuming the internal organs first, the richest source of energy. Finally, its evolutionary boldness. While most ichthyosaurs fed on fish, squid, and smaller animals, Thalattoarchon dared to hunt prey nearly its own size. It is the earliest known marine macropredator, a hunter of other large vertebrates, a terror that broke evolutionary rules and rewrote the food chain.
no longer a mere link in the ecosystem, no longer prey to anything. Thalattoarchon was a flaw in nature that nature chose to keep alive.
It was a murky afternoon in the ancient ocean. The water wasn't blue. The light was barely there. Only a thick silvery haze floated around a small school of Mosasaurus, marine reptiles about 1 to 2 meters long, gliding slowly between the rocky reefs. They didn't know. They were being watched. Far off, a shadow lingered, not clearly visible, just a faint, dark line hugging the sandy floor. Thalattoarchon was hunting. It didn't rush, it didn't stir the waves. It made no sound, only a silent glide, each stroke of its massive fins barely a ripple, its entire bulk dissolving into the murky water. Then suddenly, it accelerated. A single flick of the tail, and Thalattoarchon launched forward like a living spear of steel, shooting straight into the center of the unsuspecting school. The first victim didn't even have time to turn. Its dual-bladed teeth slammed down onto the back, ripping the creature in half. A column of deep crimson exploded through the water, spreading like a ghostly red cloud. The others scattered in panic, but it was too late. Thalattoarchon didn't stop. It lunged again, jaws closing over another Mosasaurus. This time, it struck the head, crushing the skull with a single violent twist. Shards of bone scattered like broken eggshells in the blood-darkened sea. It wasn't hunting to feed, not killing to survive. It was slaughter, deliberate and efficient. It chose the richest parts, the liver, the organs, the eyes, and left the less nutritious flesh behind, drifting for scavengers to pick over. The entire area felt claimed. No creature returned, not because they feared death, but because they could smell the ruler of the sea.
As night fell upon the ancient sea, the water grew colder, thicker, and far more dangerous. No moon, no stars, only an endless black, stretching like the mouth of an abyss. Somewhere in that darkness, a young Nothosaurus, a web-footed marine reptile, drifted alone. It had been wounded earlier that day, a bite to the hind leg, likely from a failed chase. It sought refuge near a jagged reef jutting out of the black water, trying to stay clear of the scavengers that roamed the shallows. But it didn't know that the tiny droplets of blood trailing from its wound had awakened something sleeping in the deep. Beneath the calm surface, in the void where no creature dared descend, Thalattoarchon began to move. No glint in its eye, no shimmer from its skin, only a shadow, gliding slowly and steadily along the sea floor like an ancient curse returned. The Nothosaurus lifted its head, sensing nothing, hearing nothing, until the surface beside it swelled. Boom! A blast of water shot skyward. Its eyes caught only a glimpse, a massive black mass erupting from below, mouth agape like a gaping red abyss. Thalattoarchon struck vertically, a sudden upward lunge, its jaws sinking deep into the chest of its prey. The force of the bite was monstrous, enough to snap the spine on impact. No scream, only a cloud of blood spreading like smoke into the midnight sea. The mangled body drifted downward, partially eaten, partially discarded. Thalattoarchon had taken what it wanted, the head and chest, and nothing more. And then it vanished once again into the dark, as if it had never existed.
Millions of years have passed. Great floods reshaped the continents. Volcanoes fell silent. Dinosaurs rose and vanished. Humans had not yet arrived, and the oceans had changed names and faces. But deep beneath the stone, where the ancient Triassic lies buried in silence, there remain fragments of shattered fossils, marked by jaws shaped like blades, by gashes cut deep into vertebrae, by wounds no accident could cause, but a predator could. Thalattoarchon was once a king, a creature that stood atop the food chain, ushering in a new age of sea-bound killers. Not with brute force alone, but with cold intelligence, with calculated instincts, and the power to instill fear in oceans that were still learning how to breathe again. We've only found a few pieces of its bones, just enough to rebuild its shape, but not enough to truly understand what it once was, or what it did. The true story of Thalattoarchon, perhaps, has long since sunk beneath blood and silt. But every time we dive deep, every time the light fades, every time the sea falls silent in a way that feels wrong, some still say there's something watching from below.